All right, we are on Juniper Point, hole one. This is a par four. The reason I'm showing it like this is there's actually three lines that you can take on this. I think of this hole. There are several holes that are out there, but I think of this hole as every time I get to it, I'm acting like I'm in a tournament, and I'm constantly trying to see what ball will work or where I need to be at with it. So we have two general lines. The white line, when you first start, is kind of tricky to get it into this little area. One of the things that people will do on this when they first start playing is they'll hit way out here. When you hit way out here, you put this sand trap. Let's see if I can get my pen to work here. You put this sand trap into play when you're out here. So if you draw a line on the edge of the sand trap and you're coming out, kind of where that black line is, you have a clear shot at the green where the sand's not really into play. So the closer you can get out here without getting in that sand trap, the best angle you're going to have at the green. And this green is super tough. There's a hill. Let me go to the green itself. There's a ridge right in this area right here, and it drops downhill very, very quickly to go to the hole. So it's a hard shot to chip up on. So when you're playing in tournaments, what you're going to see a lot of guys doing is that you're trying to actually get over here with your drive shot. So instead of trying to land out in these areas and then chip on with a long iron and try and get on with a long iron, you're actually trying to get on a one. So there's two ways that you can do that. You can approach it from the white line and try and with max topspin, and if the wind's blowing and you're getting tailwind, you're going in this direction of trying to bounce the ball in this area and get it to go over and towards the green. I have a hook shot from over here that we can achieve the same thing. So it's just about dialing it in. So every single time I get on this hole, I do this hook shot because I'm practicing. I'm constantly wanting to kind of keep myself up so that I know the general area where that hook shot needs to be. So when tournament time comes, it's just a matter of fine-tuning it and figuring out which ball I want to use. So in this video here, let me turn my media volume off. In this video right here, we're on Juniper Point, hole one, par four, and we're going to try that hook shot. So, in general play, these out here, if you've got enough accuracy to get to the spot, and our opponent is going to do the hop over on this side, and they're using a marlin ball with a level 7 extra mile. And we got a little bit of tailwind, and they're going to try and bounce that ball over. That landing area that's out there, especially when you first start and you've got underdeveloped clubs, is very difficult to try and stop your ball out there. It's better to come out here and then get on. So our opponent made it over, so now they have a short chip as opposed to that long iron. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come out here. We're using a marlin ball. Maximum top spin, maximum left-hand side spin. And we're on our orange ring up against the rough. And we're trying a max hook shot. And look at how far out our ball ends up in front of that with a marlin. Now we end up in the sand here. We were about one ring off. So we needed to come out one more ring, and we would have been on the green and one with a marlin ball. And you can do this you're going to have to practice with whatever level driver you have, and it's pretty much only possible if you're using a big driver. You need to use your extra mile, or you need to have a level 4, level 5, level apocalypse, or something that'll get you in that 235 range. And then if you've got, depending on your wind, you may have to bump it up to a quasar, or a navigator or a quasar. The navigator is a better choice because it has two side spin. When you start putting the quasar in there, one side spin, you get that two side spin, and it gives you an extra bar or two, it can throw that shot off. So this is one of those holes that you really want to practice, in my opinion. And I'm going to go back so we can look at that shot. When you're playing this hole, every time I'm playing this hole, I'm really trying to, let's see when it pops down here. So right here and I can't scroll in on it, but right, if I can get my pen to work, I got to use my finger. Oh, that's because it's in the picture. So if we were to move that out and put, you can see where my orange ring is right at the change between the fairway and the rough. And so if I would have moved that over so that my blue ring was on the fairway to the rough with a marlin ball and a 2.4 headwind, then I can take that shot and my ball is going to land right out here in front of that sand and go right towards the green, and I'll miss that sand trap. So we were off one ring. Now let's think about what would happen here if you set that up, because the wind's helping us right now. If you set that up and we had a 2.4 side wind that was going from the left to the right, it's going to push that ball over and you're going to end up back in the sand. So we put it on the blue ring, we're all set up perfect, everything's fine. And then the sands, we're going to end up right back in the sand because the ball is going to get pushed over one ring, and then bam, we're going to be back in the sand. So normally when I'm taking these types of hook shots, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust out the wind. Now here we didn't need to adjust out the wind because the wind is going in the same direction that we're trying to hit the ball. But if the wind would have been going from the left to the right, I would have set it up with the blue ring up against the cut between the fairway and the rough, and then I would have went and moved my club over this direction one ring and adjusted out the wind. So the wind would then take effect and put my ball back to where it was with the blue ring, so I'd end up over there. If I had a wind that was going from the right to the left, I would set it up with the blue ring up against the cut between the fairway and the rough, and then I would move my ball this way one ring and take out that wind. So some of these holes, when I'm playing them, I'm really looking at like, what am I going to do in the tournament? And I want to do that shot that I'm going to take in the tournament that's going to get me ahead. If you're on the green and one here putting for eagle, I mean, come on, that's a no-brainer. You gotta take that shot. So you're only going to get really good at taking those shots if you take those shots all the time. So every single time I get to this hole, I do this shot. Now, if you're playing in one-on-one and you're trying and you're not comfortable with this shot, really I like to lay up right about in here. That gives me a straight shot to the green where I can maneuver on the green to try and get the ball to go to the hole, but I can take that sand trap out of play. If you end up way out here, you're going to end up putting this sand trap into play. And I wouldn't recommend, if you're new, this area over here is very tricky just because you got to stop the ball before you get to the chasm. You've got a great shot from over here because you're far away from that sand. You got a great shot from over here. That's why people do it. But you've got to be able to adjust out the wind. If wind is still your enemy, then this is probably not a safe shot for you. You want to come out here into the clear. And you can really be anywhere out here and you're going to be fine. It just depends on the next club that you have. So if you come here and you've got a club that doesn't have a lot of backspin, then you're going to want to be, the closer you are towards the sand trap, this sand trap, the better, because it's going to give you, you're going to be able to start at the top of the green and come down. If you hit it way out here, you better hope that your next club's got a little bit of backspin. Otherwise, you're going to have to do a rough bump up here in order to dribble onto the green. But just so that you know, like on this particular hole, every time I come to it, I'm looking at doing this shot right here. I want to take this shot, and I want to continue to dial this shot in until I can get it so that it's on the green and not in the sand. But I will tell you that this shot right here in the sand, I have a much higher percentage of making this shot, putting it in the hole. Because here it boils down to you have to hit perfect. If you line it up properly and you hit perfect, it's going in the hole. If you're on the other side and you're shooting a long iron, or if you've got really undeveloped clubs and you may be shooting a wood, but I think mostly you're going to be shooting a long iron here, um, it's a lot harder to make it just because of the slope on the green. You can tell how much slope there is right there. So once the ball starts coming down this hill, it starts moving pretty quick. All right. What hole was that? That was Juniper Point, I believe. Hole 1, par 4. Let's make sure. It was. All right. Thanks for watching.